Welcome back to Slack Signal X. Tonight we delve into a mystery that haunted many of our childhood imaginations. It's a story not just of vanished ships and strange disappearances, but of a fear that quietly permeated every kid's brain. The Bermuda Triangle. You see, back in the 80s and 90s when MTV still ruled, we'd huddle around chunky TVs with rabbit ear antennas. The Bermuda Triangle was more than just a mark on a map. It was the ultimate urban legend, a swirling vortex of mystery that made our blood run cold, even as we dismissed it as pure myth. We're diving headfirst into those murky waters, exploring why that vast stretch of the Atlantic managed to turn so many of us into little conspiracy theorists, all while our eyes sparkled with equal parts terror and fascination. This isn't a sanitized history lesson. It's the journey into the heart of a myth. But first, you know the drill. Like, subscribe. Don't be a poser. Part 1. Legend. Let's rewind the tape. The Bermuda Triangle isn't a product of the 80s or 90s. This legend was brewing long before we knew the difference between dial-up and broadband. The modern myth began to take shape in the mid-20th century. In 1945, a group of 5 U.S. Navy torpedo bombers known as Flight 19 disappeared over the Atlantic during a routine training mission. The Navy scrambled to find answers, but the more they searched, the deeper the mystery grew. Did the planes simply get lost in a storm, or was something else at play? Something sinister lurking beneath the waves? Fast forward a couple decades, and authors like Charles Berlitz seized the narrative. In his 1974 book, aptly named The Bermuda Triangle, Berlitz mixed documented events with a healthy dose of speculation, offered up theories ranging from magnetic anomalies to the supernatural. This wasn't exactly hard science, it was storytelling, but in a way, isn't that how legends are made? We fed off the mystery, and soon enough, the Bermuda Triangle wasn't just a place on the map. It was a character, a dark entity that swirled in our collective subconscious. And if you ask any 90s kid, you'll hear whispers of shipwrecks, disappearing airplanes, and ghostly vessels drifting off into nothingness. These tales repeated on playgrounds and dramatized on late-night TV painted a picture of the triangle as a place where reality was suspended and logic was tossed aside like yesterday's news. Part 2. Culture. Now, why did the Bermuda Triangle bury itself so deeply into the psyche of every Gen X kid? I think the answer lies in the era itself. These were the twilight years of analog wonder, a time when information was scarce and sensational. We lived in this world where cable fed us snippets of mysteries, and every VHS tape or late-night TV special felt like they were leaking some secret knowledge. Remember the X-Files? Even though it premiered in 93, its blend of government conspiracy and the paranormal, it resonated with a generation that was just starting to see the internet as a vast library of half-truths and alternative facts. The Bermuda Triangle, with its mix of documented truth combined with speculation, fit perfectly into that narrative. It wasn't just about missing planes, it was about questioning the official story, about embracing the possibility that the world was full of enigmas that defied explanation. Cartoons also played a role. Whether it was the crazy tales in Saturday morning animations or over-the-top adventures in video games, the 90s served up mystery and danger on a silver platter. You'd watch a show and then hear about a supposedly cursed location in the Atlantic, and suddenly your bedroom transferred into a battleground between logic and supernatural. Take, for example, all the buzz about secret military experiments and cover-ups. Every whispered rumor, every midnight conversation on a payphone added a layer of dread. It wasn't just that the ships and planes disappeared. It was that the truth was always just out of reach, hidden behind a veil of smoke and mirrors. The Bermuda Triangle became a symbol of our era's distrust in institutions, a reminder that the world was as mysterious as it was dangerous. Let's not forget the role of printed media. Magazines, paperbacks, those were the social medias of the day. Extreme tales of maritime horror that would send shivers down your spine. In a time when you couldn't just Google Bermuda Triangle for instant answers, Every rumor had the weight of a well-researched expose. We were left piecing together clues from a patchwork of interviews, eyewitness accounts, and occasional blurry photographs that claimed to show a ghost ship emerging from the fog. It's no wonder that our collective imaginations latched onto the mystery. The triangle wasn't just a geographic oddity, it was a mirror, reflecting our era's own uncertainties, our growing anxiety in a rapidly changing world. We were on the cusp of the digital age, and the Bermuda Triangle became a metaphor for that leap into the unknown. Part 3. Fear. Why did the Bermuda Triangle become the perfect vessel for our fears? The answer is as deep and dark as the Atlantic itself. At its core, the triangle taps into something primal, a fear of the unknown, of the abyss where logic evaporates and anything can happen. Psychologists have studied our obsession with mysteries, and there's a theory that humans are just hardwired to seek patterns, to impose order on chaos. When confronted with an enigma like the triangle, our brains desperately try to fill in the blanks. This creates a breeding ground for conspiracy theories and supernatural explanations. We want a narrative, a villain, or in this case, an undiscovered force of nature that explains the randomness of life. Consider it. As a 90s kids, we were just beginning to understand the world through the lens of emerging technology. We marveled at the internet's promise, yet feared the vast uncharted territories it represented. The Bermuda Triangle became a tangible representation of that fear. The vast unknown where scientific rationality failed and mystery reigned supreme. It was the ultimate Rorschach test. Look at it, and your own anxieties are reflected back at you. There's also a bit of the classic forbidden fruit element. When something is shrouded in mystery, it becomes all the more alluring. Our culture thrives on taboo, on the things we're told not to question. The triangle was that thing. It was where science met superstition, where evidence and speculation danced a tango. For a generation that was coming of age in the rise of alternative media and counterculture, it was impossible not to be drawn in. Let's be honest. There's a certain irony in fearing a place defined by contradictions. The Bermuda Triangle is a paradox. It's an area where the mundane meets the mysterious, where everyday technology fails to explain anything. It's the cosmic equivalent of a half-eaten candy bar that you find under your bed. It's imperfect, unexplainable, and hauntingly unforgettable. Part 4. Science. Let's step away from nostalgia for a minute. We're going to look at the hard facts. The Bermuda Triangle isn't just an invention of overactive imagination. It's rooted in the real. Flight 19 remains the most notorious case. 5 Navy bombers lost in a training mission in 1945 with no trace left behind. Then there's the USS Cyclops, which vanished in 1918 with over 300 people on board. These events are well documented, and yet, when you sift through the evidence, the line between fact and folklore blurs. Scientists have taken a long, hard look at the so-called mysteries of the triangle. They point to perfectly mundane explanations. Rapid weather changes, ocean currents, human error, even bad data. The area is notorious for crazy storms and shifting magnetic fields, conditions that can confuse even the most seasoned pilots and sea captains. A 2013 study in the Journal of Atmospheric Sciences showed that many of the triangle's incidences could be attributed to a naturally occurring phenomena like methane eruptions on the ocean floor. These eruptions create bubbles that reduce the density of water, potentially sinking ships without warning. It's not magic, it's science. Yet, even with these explanations, the allure of the unknown remains. Why? Because facts, cold and clinical as they may be, rarely have the same narrative punch as a good ghost story. When you're a kid with a wild imagination, the idea that something as simple as weather could explain away decades of eerie disappearances, it's just not satisfying. We crave mystery, even if it means turning our backs on reason. There's a lesson here. Sometimes the truth is less intriguing than the stories we tell. The scientific community might debunk the myth, but for a generation raised on the thrill of the unexplained, that rationality only deepens the mystery. It's the age-old struggle between cold logic and the allure of a good legend. Part 5. Culture. Why was every 90s kid low-key terrified of the Bermuda Triangle? It wasn't just a fear of the unknown, it was a symbol. It represented our collective skepticism, our hunger for stories that transcended the everyday. In an era defined by rapid change and an emerging digital frontier, the Bermuda Triangle stood as a monument to the mysteries that lay beyond our control. It was the perfect cocktail of danger, allure, and the unexplained, a mystery we could never quite put our finger on. For Gen X kids, the triangle wasn't just geography, it was a rite of passage, a marker of our journey from a simpler time when the world was full of tangible fears and mythical monsters, to an era where the lines between fact and fiction blurred with every click of a mouse. We learned to live with uncertainty, and in doing so, we discovered that sometimes the greatest mysteries aren't solved, they're embraced. Thanks for joining me. This has been Slack Signal X.